So there's not a lot of information on this band at all, which sucks.
Mm, and like I think that's part of when I tried to look up stuff about him. Part of that was even like noted in the in the research about them. How there's a dispute about their origins and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so I think what we'll do is we'll just kind of talk about it to the best of our abilities
Mm,
because I don't think there are a lot of I can't remember what Nitty and I started talking about. It's I think we just talked about the music mostly more than anything. But
mm.
so yeah, was it 2005?
Oh, 5, yeah.
2005, we get a 77 punk rock classic from a freaking band from China, dude. Brain Failure brings American Dreamer to the table. And boy, I tell you, if you were just itching for some Clash, I don't know, give them enough rope, or gee, I don't know, and out come the wolves, and you wanted some B sides from those albums, and you didn't mind if they had a slightly different accent. Boy, you got it here. I don't I bro, I love this album so much. I bought 2 copies of it today. I bought one. I bought one of the original artwork because it's got different cover on it
Mhm,
with it like an Obi strip, and it was like $30. I had to cough up some money for it, and
mhm.
then I bought like a copy I could keep at the store that was like the cover I knew and was familiar with.
Mhm.
But dude, had you ever heard this album before we talked?
So no, I thought I knew of this band, but I was thinking of High Standard from Japan. So I don't know. Like I thought I knew of, but it's no. This was all pretty like new to me.
Dude, you want to know what's
Whenever we went
funny?
through it.
I have the complete opposite. I thought I knew High Standard, but when I got to them, I was thinking of this band.
Okay,
How
well,
funny is that?
two
Bro,
dumb Americans don't
that's
know the difference between the one Japanese and Chinese band that they know.
well, this band I did listen to back in the 2000s
Mhm.
because I can't remember if they toured here. Dude, my memory is so foggy. I think I saw them play at Fitzgerald's. I can't be 100% sure, but I remember when this album came out because it was a big deal because they were Chinese, and it was
Mhm.
like, yo, it's something Nitty brought up to me that I never like thought about, and we'll talk about it more in detail. I think here in the coming minutes, but I'll say it like this. Let's talk about this first, and then we'll talk about the songs.
Mhm.
So I said the following, and then I'll tell you what Nitty said, and I want your response to it. I
Okay.
said they like the style and lifestyle of American and UK punk, but I'm not 100% sure that they 100% understand it. But I
Mhm.
know it's got a special meaning to them. They specifically in China live in a place that is super authoritarian, so they may use punk as a more of a like a vehicle to escape daily struggles and not necessarily to fight against them. Maybe I don't really know because I'm not in their head, right? And
Mhm.
I don't say this to be disrespectful. I'm just speculating here. I don't know if I'm articulating all this right, but it still means just as much to those people, no doubt, right? But I think it just comes off as a bit different, man. Like they're doing it for slightly different reasons. Uh, but it's just as important, right? It's just about perspective. And I think their perspective is a little different. And then Nitty was like, yeah, dude, in China, you would go to jail for writing punk songs. And I was like, I never really thought about that. Yeah. So they don't have songs that are like, F you. It's like, let's go out and fight at the bar.
Mhm.
When really it's a, what's that called? When you describe something using other words, it's called
Like an analogy or
it's like an
a
analogy, right? You're saying it in
metaphor.
like
Yeah.
a metaphorically speaking, you're
Mhm.
talking about a fight at a bar, but really the bar is the authoritarian government, and
Mhm.
yeah, they're the rednecks, you're the punks, and so like, so I'm thinking that maybe I just completely didn't understand that they were going to do it like that. I do think he had something about. I think that meant something.
Mhm.
I think he had something going with that idea. Is that they were probably actually talking about what you think they were talking about, but they couldn't outright say it.
Mhm.
Me being the dumb American, I just never really understood that because they say things, and also there's some stuff lost in translation. There's gonna be, but like, bro, this band is amazing, amazing, dude.
Yeah, they're so good that, and I'm still not fully convinced of this, but if you told me that they were like industry plants in China, I would believe that. And that's not even an insult on them. It just because it also sounds very like almost a perfect record in the vein of the stuff you and I like. Like again,
Yes.
so the last thing we talked about for those who watched or listened was the Forgotten, something that sounded very much like and comes from the same like universe of the Rancid stuff, of the large stuff. This, on the other hand, like we talk about Ramones core, this would be like the biggest band if there was something called Rancid core. That's what this would
basically
be. And it's interesting because like, and it's from this time period too. It's not just like this whole hodgepodge of Rancid. This sounds like mid 2000s Rancid. Like there's parts on this where the vocal delivery sounds like stuff that hadn't even happened yet from Let the Dominoes Fall. Like it's that kind of like of the way that Rancid sounds. And I've gone all the way and thinking in how to take this, because we're dumb, right? It's punk rock. So even if you and I rail all the time about gatekeeping and this and that, there's still the authenticity radar is just still always really up. And I didn't know how to take, because I was like, is this just like how we talked about like the Donnas were just like performing the Ramones basically? And I was kind of thinking, is that what this is? This is just performing American punk rock, performing Rancid. So is it even worth investing in? Because like you were just like kind of we were saying, it's almost like you're just doing this novelty American act. And with punk rock, there's something like, do you care about the lyrics? That just means something.
No.
I don't know why it matters, but it just
well,
does.
it matters because of what punk rock is at its core. It's not just a music, man. It's a lifestyle, dude. I literally get looked at when I go places in my neighborhood now because of the current state of things in our country, because of who I am, and I am punk rock. Like, people can say whatever they want on the internet about me. I don't care, dude. When it comes down to like feet on the ground doing stuff for the community, I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I'm active. That's my point. I'm active in the community, so I know where I stand, right? It's a lifestyle. So yeah, we want authenticity. I mean, dude, that's the worst thing in the world, to be somebody like Erin Miklo, dude. Like, I don't want to bring her up out of like, but like, that's a good example. She's inauthentic, which is why people don't like her. Like, if she's gonna not dye her hair and she's gonna not get any tattoos, that is a-okay. Then don't do the Liberty spikes and don't dress like you want to do that stuff. I don't know, man. It's gonna sound super gatekeepy, but like I feel like my point is both stupid and makes sense. If you know what I'm saying, like it is kind of dumb, right? But it is important. It's important to me. Like, I don't want people like that around. I don't want people that are only talking to these bands to get clout, only going to shows to say you went. No, I want to reminisce. I want to write zines about it. I want to make videos about it. I want to talk about it more. I want to relive it over and over and over and over and over. I want to talk to these bands because they basically formed who I am. I want to talk to them so that I can go, oh, because also I'm going to sniff out bullshit. So if you're coming to me with some of that, then good. I'm done. I'll go to somebody else who's not inauthentic. But like with a band like this, I mean, basically in my comment, I was saying, like, I don't know what to think about this, but it's so good. I don't know that I give a shit. I don't think I care, man, but I also think this. I have it on pretty good authority that these dudes were exactly who they said they were. And that they were good people and that they were like down for the cause. So for those three reasons, and again, very good authority, I have no reason to doubt it. So your curious questions, very valid. I say you have nothing to worry about on that front. This is a band you should embrace and enjoy. And I wish you would have found them earlier. I heard them a long time ago. I just didn't. I forgot how fucking good it was. Sorry, I'm trying not to curse these days, but that was I flubbed that, didn't I? I forgot how good this was, dude. Like, I just hadn't heard it in ages, and I put it on. And I was like, forgot about this one. Like,
I think what it is too, in terms of the sound, is they just had a kind of, it seems like, and maybe because of the nature of the band, that they sort of had a lot to work with. And I think that's what I meant by where the sound is sort of situated. And there's tons of, like, you can hear lots of Dropkick Murphys on this album.
Right.
You can hear obviously tons of Rancid. There's a little bit of Clash. There's a little bit of Fugazi that I got on there. So it really much has the feel of something like we always talk about how as punk gets further and further, it has more things to take from and starts transforming into this different thing. But rarely does the result of that sound like stuff that came before it. It's usually made to create these newer things. Whereas this is like taking the best of all these things that had just happened fairly recently and really just executing them very, very well. Like the sound of this album, I thought was just amazing for and it's very arrogant to me for something I've never heard. Okay, it's gonna have great stuff, but no, this
Yep.
has like amazing production. Like this has like
No, this
really, really,
album sounds better than most things I hear today.
yeah. It stood out to me the way that this thing sounded. And I think it there is some talent, and we talked about this with Ramones core with making the stuff sound good and sound catchy when it's derivative of something else and making it sound original and sound like your own. Like there is a talent and skill to that. And it takes this band, I think, a little bit, it's a little harder for them to get there because when you're literally impersonating something from a different country in a different language, it's really hard not to be derivative and not to be so derivative of these
Right.
things. But it does come across. I think it comes across most in these choruses, and I think it's because that's where the language barrier gets to fall apart a little bit. Like you go watch a band. Say we've seen bands that play punk in Spanish and German that we've got to
Right.
go see. You don't really know what's going on, but on the choruses you can kind of do the thing, kind of go with it. And I
Right.
think a lot of these songs have really good, very good, like those sing-alongy choruses. Like again, if you would have told me this was like an industry plant kind of thing where everyone's like, how can we make these really catchy punk songs that sound perfect, that do all these things? It's got all of those elements just right in there. It's very like this is another one I'm so interested to know more about. Like I see their other album is something called Beijing to Boston or something like that. I know
Yeah.
they were
So
hooked
I
up with
have
Ken Casey. I just really want to know like what everything this band did.
something of theirs. Hold on, let me find it. I've also got Keep the Corpses Quiet by The Forgotten, another really, really good album for anybody out there that's curious.
That one is on Spotify, by the way. I just looked.
That's a fantastic record. Do I have it here? Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so this is the album that I think this is the first one that I heard by them. Let me double check. Yeah, so I heard them when this came out, and then I forgot about it. And then somebody reminded me when this American Dreamer came out, and American Dreamer is the one that really took them. Like, I need to re-listen to this. It's been a while. I haven't played this one in a long time. So, okay. What I find interesting is that you said you hear Dropkick Murphys in this a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
My initial thoughts on this are like, oh, this is just like Rancid Clash. That's what this is, right? But if I look at my notes, I put on here, this opens up with a crazy anthemic banger and lets you know immediately what you're getting into. It's fantastic guitar playing and production as well, which we've already just discussed. The very next thing I said, clear foundation of sounds from the Clash and Rancid, but I'm also hearing a lot of early 2000s East Coast, specifically Boston punk rock. So like, my thought is like, oh, Dropkick, but then I look at my notes. I'm like, oh yeah, I must have been thinking the same thing. So I don't know what that means, other than I guess we just agree on that. But yeah, this band is, I want to see them play this album, but I want to see them play it 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. I want to see it when it was coming out, but I think they're still active. But I don't know, man. Like, I feel like to even make this music, this whole band probably for 10 years was just sitting around listening to the exact same albums that you and I were listening to.
Mm-hmm.
And then they started a band and they started writing songs. And that's exactly why this sounds like this. I think if I was in a band, it would sound more like The Forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I don't know if that's the right word. It's harder to do this, but like,
it is. This is more complex than that was, I think.
Yeah. I think these guys are very good songwriters. But I mean, I don't know much about China. It's not a country that I've familiarized myself with. I don't even think the Chinese food that I know is actually Chinese. So
Yeah.
I do know that they take their education very seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And I do know that they require musical instruments at a very young age, from at least as far as I understand it. At a very young age, you are to pick an instrument and stick with it. Mm-hmm. So that leads me to believe that these guys were going to be good songwriters regardless of what genre they were into.
Yeah.
And they just found punk rock. I bet if we got 25 bands from China that actually were good enough to get on a label and get some distribution, they would all be high quality.
Well, yeah, especially if everyone has a musical background like that.
You know
we talk about it all the time. Whenever like great musicians do punk rock, they are amazing.
Right.
Because quite frankly, a lot of the genre isn't filled with great musicians, and that makes sense to everything I was saying too with the production stuff and all. Because like what you're saying in contrast to the Forgotten, I I think the Forgotten is getting everything they can out of their talent, their ability, their sound, their sensibilities. I think this is probably getting a lot of what they can out of that, and there's a lot going on here. But like, what's amazing about, you even call it like the imitation stuff, like when we're relating it to Rancid, like again, I think if you and I tried to make a derivative Rancid band, it would sound like the Forgotten. Like I think there is like the like Matt Freeman bass stylings that they have going on through this. Not only is that hard to do, I think that's hard to like innovate and come up with and to write. And
Right.
that's what makes that stuff just so unique. And it probably was exactly like you're saying. But I think there's also some, how the heck do you write lyrics in another language that fit with a song and fit with the genre? I think that is
Bro.
just a wild. And there's some parts when you go back and read it where it doesn't make sense. Like it's
Right.
clearly someone who doesn't speak
Well,
the language.
because they're trying to
Yeah.
imitate a style, sound, and a lifestyle, which is perfectly acceptable in my opinion. I think that I like okay, so I've played in a few bands and they've all been like faster up tempo stuff.
Mhm.
I think there's some difficulty in writing a mid-paced, mid-tempo song with a crazy bridge and some ska chords. Like that's hard to do, man. But like I find that whenever I'm listening to a band, if they try to sound a little bit like that Rancid core stuff or that Rancid worship music, unless they're really, really good, I just would rather hear Rancid.
Mhm.
And this is one of the very few times where I go, damn, this is about as good as Rancid. And I'll say that the only other time that I've thought that with a sound that actually sounded like Rancid was early Interrupters.
Mhm.
Well, guess who was writing a bunch of that?
Yeah,
So, I mean,
that's kind of cheating on that one. Yeah.
right. So this I actually think is more impressive because it's dudes in, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they knew the guys in Rancid. Maybe. I don't know. This is it's a very perplexing thing. I wish I had the like foresight to go see if there was like a documentary about this anywhere. I didn't even think to look.
Well, and yeah, because like information's a little more open between the Western world and China now, but this would have
Right.
been through the 90s and like I have no idea. Like even their means of obtain, like that would be really interesting just to know how they got punk rock over there and how they, the media channels in which that, was it through zines, was it through, does underground tape trading even go through, these, we know other
That's
parts of the world
probably
that it's
what it
penetrated,
was.
but like I feel like China in general with media, we just don't know a lot about
So
altogether.
I'm gonna do a very large amount of speculation here. Excuse me, very
Go
large
for
amount of speculation. If I had to guess how they got into that music, I would say that it was probably from like professional travel. Like so people
Mm.
that go, "Oh, I've got a business trip in Washington and I'm from Beijing. I fly over. They're 22 years old, not 38 or something.
Mhm.
What's there to do out here? Oh, I'm gonna go see this band play, especially in DC or something, right?
Mhm.
Or even in like Texas or California. And so they go, oh, cool. So this person probably speaks English because they're traveling. So they go and see a band play and they're like, holy shit, I like this. They buy the CD. They don't buy a shirt because they can't really wear it, but they buy the CD, right? They get home. It's their personal house. They can play it, right? I think that's what it was, dude. It was stuff like that. And like you said, tape trading. I guarantee you it was something like that. And then there's probably just a small bubbling, underground scene. I bet it stayed really underground. The fact that these guys made an album and toured the world, I kind of find shocking. Like, I feel like they probably weren't too stoked that these guys existed, but they weren't playing. Their songs aren't overtly political either. They're like, if they are, it's all tongue in cheek almost. Like,
Well, and then I wonder if is it like the case, and again, I'm gonna be what like if you understand a little bit of Spanish and you watch like just American television, there's tons of Spanish cuss words all the time when people are speaking Spanish on there, but that just don't get sort of they don't they don't trip the wire in that kind of way. So you wonder this thing that's sort of done in this other language, is it not viewed as subversive at all? Because I would think like a song like because there's a few of these that had a little bit of political, like sort of rebellious punk rock
hold on.
in them, and it makes me wonder, like, would that be allowed, or is it just sort of viewed as this American, like cosplay thing that these guys are doing? So there's no
I
real.
feel like that's probably what they think of it as, because like I know in Japan they are real big on karaoke. I wonder if they're into that stuff over in China. I'm not saying because they're Asian. I'm just saying I wonder if they're, because they're from that part of the world.
Mm. And stuff that pieces of it's stuff that's boring to us, like of American culture, is
I
of
can't
another
imagine doing
culture
that stuff.
to other people, and so they find it like very interesting. Well, no, Americans are so like I feel so proud of myself that I watch every now and then I watch Japanese wrestling, which of course is dubbed like in English.
That's
But
awesome.
like I can't imagine how much the rest of the world is into American media and totally goes around our discourse with it and everything, because I give such little like attention to so many things that happen outside of America. And it just doesn't appeal to me in the same kind of way that American centric things do. I really give the rest of the world credit the way they embrace American arts and make them cool. Punk rock especially, because normally this is one time where we're doing when it's foreign band with punk rock, I think we always assume that they come from like the harshest of conditions, because it seems like everywhere else where punk rock still like resonates, it's because it almost has to, because it has like a necessity in a way that it never quite reached in the more developed world. So I always assume when I hear like international punk, like these are the real things. So that's what I always kind of assume.
I'm trying to find, I think, what year was Given the Boot for?
So yes, there's a song from them on there.
Okay. So they had to, what year was that album?
It was this time period. It was like 04, 05, because I remember getting it. Like,
so they had to know those guys. I wish I had the album in my hand right now so I could look at the notes, the liner notes and stuff.
So it looks okay. This one is saying that Given the Boot for, no, this one's saying 07, but that's not the case. It was sooner than that. It's the green one. I just know it was not then, because I was definitely in high school when I bought that, and so it's like 04, 05, right around there. But like, I kind of thought those were almost always exclusively Hellcat or very, very closely related to Hellcat bands.
Okay, so it's 2004, right? So that came out a year before the album we're talking about, right? Okay, so yeah, that's what I know is the song title.
Yeah, and so you're talking about the opening track on this one it's listed differently here.
Wait, what?
Because there's a song on here that's listed one way on Spotify that's listed differently elsewhere. It's the opening track. Is that the same one that's on?
Oh, I don't know. The song that's on the comp is called That's What I Know.
Yes, and that's the opening song on this album. That's the same song, I think, even though it's titled different.
Okay, interesting. So I wonder if if Rancid got wind of these dudes and they were able to like, I wonder if I could ask, I wonder who I could talk to about this specific subject, because I don't even know who to ask about this, because I think even Mark from TKO was like talking about how when he found out about them, he was like, a band from China. And then the people, like, he heard it and was like, wow, this band's from China. It was kind of the same reaction I had. So I wonder who I could get to like navigate that kind of conversation for me so that I could learn something about it, because I don't know. Let's see. Let me look up on YouTube and see if there's
in my mind, I read I think it was something from like Punk News or something like that. It was an album review of this from 05. And I think they noted something with I think they're tied to Ken Casey somehow. I think that's the connection.
Okay.
But even then, I don't know how that connection got made, but
let's see here. I'm seeing music videos. This is crazy. This is so cool though. Yeah, they have some really great. Yeah, Beijing to Boston. Was that a split maybe? Yeah. No, Big D and the Kids Table and Brain Failure. Let's see. They have a song called Fucking Disco. That's the kind of shit that makes me chuckle. Let's see. Yeah, I don't see anything.
Here, check it out. Let's this is some context. This is from April 26, 2005. It's on punknews.org.
Okay.
Let's see.
That actually doesn't surprise me.
Okay. Much has been made of Brain Failure's origins, and it's worth repeating. Formed in 1995, the band was one of the first to self-release a demo in China. Wow. They were a large part of the scene that revolved around Beijing's infamous Scream Club, with frontman Jiu Rong becoming somewhat of a stylistic pioneer for the nascent Chinese punk movement. However, if there are great tales of cultural oppression or state censorship in Brain Failure's past, it's certainly not evident in this record, although I digress. Most bios circulating online claim relative level of stability and economic prosperity in the PRC created conditions where a band like Brain Failure could exist, and that's likely closer to the truth. So more like saying because of like where they were in like their place in society, they were able to do punk. It's maybe more of the truth. Okay, now here's Brain Failure recorded their second album, American Dreamer, in Boston under the wing of Dropkick Murphys principal Ken Casey.
I think Nitty might have brought that up too, actually.
Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking about it.
And so like at that time, Dropkick is kind of on Hellcat, but also like they were basically on Hellcat at that time. And
they're definitely good friends.
And they were always on the comps, and they would always be associated with them, even if they weren't necessarily putting their albums out at that time.
Rancid has toured with Dropkick Murphys so many times.
Yeah, and
like,
to this day,
those are all
they still do. So that doesn't shock me how there's at least that connection there. So they're definitely in the universe of everything else that we talked about.
And that's so cool that they were able to do it so well. Can you imagine hearing this if you were Rancid? Like the dudes in Rancid to hear this and be like, holy crap.
That had to blow their mind because, again, I think like, yes, Rancid and The Clash sound very, very similar, but you can kind of understand where one ends and the other one begins. This would almost freak me out if someone could just replicate what I do to this. So that like if there's like a crappy punk rock podcast with two middle-aged dudes on there in like China and they're talking about this stuff, like I'd be shocked. Like that'd be insane,
that'd be amazing.
Right?
But yes, it would blow my mind.
They're wondering if Rancid are legit or I want to listen to that podcast if Brain Failure was influenced by the right people.
Man, it's an interesting conversation. It's probably a very amazing story. I would love to talk to these guys and just hear. I should go. Tell me your story, and then shut the hell up for like an hour. Let them just talk to me. You know.
I feel like you have a
shutting up, but
I feel like you have an assignment now though. Like we need to get to the bottom of Brain Failure. Like that is
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I think that's important.
Well, I think with all the looking around that we've done and we haven't been able to find much, it means that the story needs to be told. Correct.
Yes. Like that band, The Hates from Houston. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of stuff about them either. So they had this book came out a couple years ago, and it was like kind of done. I don't know if this is the right word, but like it was kind of done in a hurry. Mm-hmm. All right. So it needed to be rewritten or a sequel or something. So they basically had it. They went and rewrote the whole entire book, and it's like 200 and something pages now. And it's like, that needs to exist because there's not a lot of just information about them. Dude, in Texas, bro, the bands weren't. Very few bands in Texas were nationally recognized. I'll put it like mm-hmm. that. Where like, you had like the Dicks, Big Boys, and you had like maybe Crumb Bums. Very few, man. And I don't mean to short sell anybody that's from here, man. I love this place. But I think that band, they were around so early on that it's important that their stuff is being remembered. And I think that that's exactly what this is. This is basically the Ramones in China. Mm. They're like the first band to do some of this stuff in that part of the world. Because if you're in China and this happens in 2005, you probably feel similarly to how we felt in 1977. Mm-hmm. Holy crap, look what these guys are doing. This is crazy. And then like in 2005 of all years, holy crap, look what these dudes are doing. This is crazy. Like it's awesome. It's so cool.
Especially if there's a partiality to like classical music and that kind of stuff. That just has to be.
And it's really cool that they gravitate towards a sound that we like, because mm-hmm. I'm gonna be selfish and say I'd rather them be like this than like, emo or pop punk stuff. Like, and I'm cool with whatever, I guess, but like it's cool that it's sounds that we love. Like when I heard this,
that stuff's more replicable. This is harder to do. That's what makes
oh yeah, for sure, dude. When I put this on, even my wife gave me a look, and I was like, "It's not Rancid." She goes, "It's not," and I was like, "No, listen to him sing." And then he started singing, and she was like, "Oh, that's somebody else." And she's like, "What's he singing?" I was like, "It's a Chinese band," and she was like, "Interesting." And then, she had to get back to what she was doing, but she heard it and stopped and was like, "What is this? I don't know this song." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's freaking."
If we found out though that they were actually Rancid all along, would that shock you just in the way that they sound?
Like what, with a different singer or something?
No, but even like with that, like they were just kind of, if it was like a Rancid side project that they didn't tell anyone about, they just like really, I don't think Rancid would do that kind of thing, but I'm just saying, like, would you believe that if you would have heard that?
Depends on the source.
Hmm.
If it
I
came
think it
out
sounds
from,
close enough, like you could fool someone to like to think like that could have been
you know
a
what?
really
I'm gonna do
legend.
it at the shop this weekend. I'm gonna see if I can get somebody to believe that this is a Rancid album.
It's a good challenge.
I
Like,
bet I
oh,
can.
it's their Chinese import right here.
Oh, dude, that's funny. I thought it was a fantastic album, dude.
Mm.
I thought it was awesome. I love it. I think this is also a 9.5 out of 10. I don't think it's a 10. It's not quite Outcome the Wolves. But bro, for something that is clearly infatuated with the same things I am, they did a better job than I could ever dream of doing. Like, you could give me 10,000 years and all the money in the world and go, here's a studio with everything you need. Go create this album. This is good. I'd be like, well, where's everybody else at? I can't do this. I need help. I need these guys to come in and help me. It's awesome, bro. I love this stuff, man. I get so hyped listening to this music. I listened to it today. I was like, I should have been listening to shit all week, man. It's so good.
I had fun with both these albums because like normally where I'm listening to stuff that I haven't listened to in 10 years and 15 years when we're doing this show and this and that. And it was all fresh, but it was all very like music you could do stuff to. You know what I mean?
That's
Like sometimes
true.
we're doing stuff I haven't heard in a while. I really have to sit and listen. All of this was very listenable. Just I don't know, punk rock's good. Who knew?
Right. Hey, how did you feel when you played this album and it turned out? Because like I didn't want to say nothing to you about it. I just wanted you to listen to it,
Mm-hmm.
but I wanted to like preface it, go, hey man, this is like Outcome the Wolves quality, bro. And because I thought you'd be like, shut up, because why would you believe that?
Well, I think if you would have said that, that would have been like that would have kind of it would have set the stage and been like maybe let down. But like, yeah, I wouldn't have believed you. That's what it was. You would
Yeah.
have said it, and I've been like, okay,
So
what does that
okay,
mean?
so
There's ska on it. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have
right,
taken it that
right.
seriously.
So when you were listening to this, did it like blow your hair back a little bit? Were you like tripping out? Because the first time I heard it, like way back when, I remember being really impressed, but I hadn't heard it in a long time. And when I
So
played it again, I was flabbergasted,
I
man.
was like cleaning the house and stuff the first time I put it on, and I just assumed as that there was a bunch of Rancid features on this. I just assumed it was like that kind
There's
of
a
thing.
couple of parts where it sounds like Tim or Lars.
Yeah, there's a song late in the album where he, like I said, and I don't remember which one, but it's kind of like there's like a domino. It's like the last song on Dominoes, and it almost kind of sounds like that. It's in that the same way where, like I said, it sounds like it's even recorded like Rancid. That's what blows my mind is sonically how much it sounds like it. It does. And again, like I never expect to like something or like have such a positive opinion on something that I've only listened to for 2 weeks. Like that rarely happens. But this, it doesn't feel new to me because this type of music feels very familiar.
It's like it feels new, as in like you got a new album from a band you already loved.
Yeah.
So like I'm excited that you like it. I'm really happy because I figured you would. But dude, sometimes something like this doesn't go right. Sometimes you hear something like this and you go, no, I don't want this. They're just copying what I love. But these guys clearly love it so much that I feel like I can feel through my speakers that no, these guys love this stuff, dude.
Well, like when we used to do these every week, with 1 week, I might not have liked this one too. That was the other thing because I think it takes a minute to get over the whole presentation just for a second.
That's funny. I don't have that problem.
Yeah, I guess
I jumped in, was like, let's go. This is awesome.
Yeah, to me, I'm just like, wait, what? And then like, because the way that the lyrics kind of disconnect, it just sort of it throws me off initially.
Yeah,
it threw me off.
That's the lyric thing
took
throws me off.
a few listens to kind of figure it out, or like, oh yeah, that chorus isn't going to make sense. It's just there to sort of sound like that, and it's fine. It's just it takes a minute for it to settle in and to remember you're not listening to Rancid. That's also part of the experience.
I gotta wrap up here in a minute because I got another podcast due at 8, but I got a couple questions for you. One, would you be interested in doing another like conversation similar to this, but if I can give you the list and a way to listen to the songs from a bunch of Indonesian bands?
Yeah,
because Indonesia has like a real strong, like, I don't know what else to call it, but like Rancid core scene. There's like,
Mhm.
dude, I think there's probably
Uh,
8 bands I could come up with pretty quick that all
It feels
sound like,
like it's real big over there, right? Like the scene is
yeah,
like
and well, they
growing
all
and stuff.
look and act and talk like Rancid too. It's really interesting. I think Rancid is done. I don't know how that happened, but honestly, but like I've talked to a couple of people from there, and I've talked to people that know people over there, and it's really cool, man. But they even have songs where they take like direct riffs from a Rancid song and like repurpose part of the song. It's really it's completely different. I think it's more of what we were talking about earlier with like an
Mhm.
imitation thing, but it's the same thing. It's like Lost in Translation. They just love it so much that they want to make it and they don't see nothing wrong with what they're doing. And I fully support that. If they're doing it for a genuinely wholesome reason, go for it, man.
Mm.
It's like if I, clipped somebody's video, but I was doing it to like give them some praise or like point at something that was culturally relevant that I just didn't have a way to do it. That makes sense. But if I'm like cutting up your video to like make fun of you and I'm mocking your video or something like that, that's not okay. But if I'm just copying you out of respect and going, no, I like what this guy did, or like with the Punk Rock Radar, they had a a video series, which is exactly what I'm going to ask you to do with me. That I had thought of once before. I didn't think I had time to really mess with it, and I kind of had. It was not quite exactly the same, but it was close enough to where I could say it was basically the same idea. And I just didn't do it, and I wish I had now because they did it, and I liked it. I was like, "Oh man, it's a good idea."
They have
It's
really good ideas on their shows.
yeah, I just don't like their setup and like their punk that they get into. A lot of it's not even punk. Like what punk rock record's the best? And it's like a bunch of emo shit. And I'm like, dude, what are you talking about, dude? It's not none of that is punk. So whatever. Gate kept. All right. Uh but they are good dudes though. Like it's not about them. The guys are cool. They have a lot of knowledge. They just like stuff that I won't like. They go into a poppier direction than I'll ever go into. But they also love a lot of music that's amazing. Like I'm not trying to crap on those guys. Let me shut up because it sounds like I'm being negative when I'm not trying to be. I actually want to tip my cap. The great albums with bad songs. I was gonna do like popular songs that I disliked, which was my idea. But I like this version of that better. Great albums that have a bad song. So why don't you pick out 3 albums that have a song that you go, ugh, I'll do it too. We have a few weeks to do it, or 2 or 3 weeks to do it. What do you think? 3 and 3?
Yeah, I love that. I love that gimmick too. I watched that episode.
Oh, I haven't watched it at all. So
Yeah,
I saw the thumbnail and I thought, man, I almost did something exactly like that like a year
because
ago.
we
And I wish I
covered some of the
had.
albums that are on that they reference, which is just kind of funny.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
Like
Well,
we've got some thoughts about some of those songs, but I thought that was a great concept because we tend to get really excited about these albums we love, so let's point out like their flaws. I think that's
yeah. And so, yeah, I was really bummed out when I saw it because I did feel kind of jaded. I was like, oh man, I had an idea so similar to that. I should have done it. And I think it was when me and you weren't doing episodes at the time. I just didn't have the time. I wasn't going to do it solo. Like I wanted somebody to riff with and like, I'll just maybe later. And then I just kind of forgot. And then I saw that and I thought, son of a bitch, they did it, man. They did a good idea. So shout out to Punk Rock Radar. My musical tastes are not better than theirs. Let me be very clear about this. That is not what I was saying. I'm just saying they're different. And I don't like Propaganda, so I don't know if that's a band they like, but I just felt like it is. So
they like a lot of Fat Record stuff, so I'm assuming that they're pretty big Propaganda heads.
yeah, the Fat Record stuff, man. I'm so lukewarm on most of their catalog. Although, you know what's funny? I need to do a video on that where I go through the Fat Record stuff and make people irritated because all the Fat Record stuff I like is all like modern Fat Record stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Their classic catalog, I like 30% of it maybe, but their modern catalog, I probably like 80% of it. I like most of it. Like they went in a direction that I really liked. It's like they took the place of Epitaph. Epitaph went and started doing like metalcore and emo rap stuff. Whatever, man, make your money, bro. You got to pay the bills. But Fat Records was like, well, then I'll take Get Dead. Oh, then I'll take, Days and Days. And I was like, shit, that's awesome. I love this stuff. So, yeah, I'm an elitist, snobby music prick. Sorry, guys.
Couldn't help yourself on that one. That was funny.
Dude,
I've been praising how good this thing was. You still had to do your little thing.
I've been in a really great mood the last few weeks. I needed to like calm that down.
Yeah, you get back to yourself.
All right, everybody. Thank you guys for hanging out, man. You know what to do. Smash that like button. Smash that girl. Smash yeah. Or that dude, if that's what you're into. I don't want to see it necessarily. I don't really care if you want to show me a picture, whatever, man. I'm open-minded to do like whatever. But like anyways, at least subscribe to the channel first, and we'll see you on the next punk rock review.